Actually an honor to be the first one on the growth stage today for my talk about digital strategy made simple and simply made. Because of course that's the goal of my talk today, making digital strategy simple so you can simply craft it yourself. And I have good reasons to do so. My main reason is that we notice a lot of paralysis because of information analysis. Is that there is so much bullshit online, so much information online about what actually is digital strategy, that you actually are paralyzed, that you don't do anything and you don't get anything done anymore. And that's exactly why we run 90-day strategy sprints at the Indie Group and start that change process. Because for us, strategy, especially digital strategy, is about starting a change process. It's about doing its actionable strategy. And at 90 days, that's not a coincidence because it's all about changing human behavior. And on average, in a rehab clinic, the sessions are 90 days. So after 90 days, people are changed in behavior, in bad behavior like alcohol or drugs addictions. During those 90 days, those rehab clinics rewire the brain. It's the brain that rewires to behave differently. And that's the same thing in digital strategy implementation. You have to change the human behavior, so you have to rewire the brain. And that's not as easy as I say it is, because changing humans is harder than changing a computer program, for instance. You can't just add any code to add new functionality or change how something acts or behaves. But why would you believe my story? So I think it's time to introduce myself a little bit further before we go into the actual talk about digital strategy. I studied sociology in Ghent, and sociology is all about understanding human beings, explaining human behavior, and especially in my case, I specialized in media sociology. So how do people behave in relation with technology? With the new media age we are in today, it's really interesting to use those insights from the sociology student life. After student life, I became a copywriter and I specialized in influencing people through texts. And I specialized in especially digital media and SEO techniques. A copywriter is really strategic, so I really ended up quite quickly as a role in a CMO, international company, software startup. It grew and it grew because of one thing. I could do both the strategy and execution. Strategy was instantly linked to an omni-channel marketing action plan. The only thing is, it was only one company, one brand. If you are a bit ambitious like me, you want to help multiple brands and organizations at the same time. So as from then, I started as a consultant, which I still are today, and today I'm working for Indie Group. You can follow me on Twitter or even ask me questions, which I will reply shortly. So far from my professional life, this is my main hobby today. He's called Victor, and since the year he takes most of my time and efforts in my leisure time. But that being said, let's talk strategy. And what do I want to talk about today? It's simply defining digital strategy, offering a simple framework to craft your own digital strategy with the correct do-it-yourself tools, and maybe even show your first next step in creating a successful digital strategy. Let's talk digital strategy. When I was looking for a solution to the answer, what is strategy? I turned to Google. And you'll quickly end up at this picture. And you see here that strategy is, of course, part of a bigger process. It drives the tactics, and of course, strategy is always optimized due to metrics of success. What's most striking here is that strategy is not the first thing. Strategy is the result of something even bigger, and that's what we say is the vision and the mission. At Indie Group, we also notice these things during strategic projects, that vision and mission are unclear. But we have very good workshops to solve those. And the easiest way to understand our workshops is that we frame the mission and vision and strategy things in a very simple way. We phrase it like that. For the vision, you have to think about and phrase and come up with an answer about the market evolution. In which direction is it evolving? And just have a vision and describe that context. Within that context, your brand or organization wants to have a specific role and position. That's your mission. And to get to that position, you need some kind of roadmap. That's your strategy, maybe, because we're still looking to define strategy and specifically digital strategy. I already said paralysis because of information analysis, and I immediately understood because when I started Googling for a definition, I saw a lot of definitions, and that shouldn't be striking because, yeah, a definition, when you look in the dictionary, a definition says it can even be subjective. For me, it's a bit striking because a definition is, for me, very objective. But when I Googled through all the definitions on strategy and digital strategy, I tried to find the most common denominator, and for me, were three things that often occurred in definitions on strategy. Strategy is a connected logic, a blueprint for making decisions. So it's very important, connected logic, blueprint, decision making. So if you look at digital strategy in particular, it's about having a connected logic, a set of guidelines, a blueprint for making decisions about deploying new technologies. Strategy is in fact a decision-making algorithm. And that's the second thing I want to stress about digital strategy. Apart from going beyond the paralysis, it also saves you a lot of time because you no longer will have moments of paralysis because everything is clarified in the strategy. So it's a decision-making algorithm, and everybody these days uses algorithms to gain speed, to do things more quickly. Let's go a little deeper into that. A strategy is like an algorithm because an algorithm that is a set of rules that give you a result. The only thing you have to do is put data in, and probably a lot of data. That's what big data does. If we look at strategy, it's the same thing. You want to do something, you want to act, and you want to act on a set of rules. Your documentation, your strategy. But that set of rules cannot be created as such from behind your desk. No, you have to have valid and valuable insights in that. That's what happens in the discovery stage. You have to put data into your document. Looking at it like that, it's quite clear that there are both human and computer algorithms. The only thing is, if you have a human algorithm, you need to translate it into mathematical formulas, and that mathematical formula needs to be computable by a computer. So if you're able to do that with your digital strategy document, you can actually have a digital strategy algorithm in which you provide data for your next action, and you say do it, or don't do it, or do it in that way or this way. But I think for most people, this will not be so easy to realize. So we're going to do the traditional way of crafting a strategy with the triple D approach to end up with a blueprint of your actions, your strategic document. The triple D approach is quite easy. It's about discover, document, and do. Each phase starts with a D, so that's why we call it triple D. It's easier to understand it when you look at the triple D approach from in the reverse way. If you start at do, what you want to do is building the correct digital platform. You want to spread the right messages on the ideal channels so that you obtain your business goals. You cannot do those things without having a detailed strategy, a blueprint of your platform, an algorithm which gives you the answer to what is the right digital platform, what are the ideal messages to spread, and what are the most converting channels to use when I want to realize my goals. Before you can craft such a document, you need to discover the content of that document. And that document is about customer insights, company and industry insights, and of course, use of the value and tech. Because we're crafting a digital strategy, you have to use the value of tech. You have to take that into account. What I want to do next is show you a simple framework which allows you to discover all the things that are valuable to craft a digital strategy or to craft your algorithm. So how do you design a strategy, or how do you craft an algorithm? It's easier said than done, but if you take the simple framework, you have a simple methodology and a number of tools to create that digital strategy that saves you a lot of time and never gives you that paralysis again. A simple framework, when we look at it in words, it's about a company offers something over a carrier to specific people. Stated differently and perhaps a little bit easier, we help X do Y doing Z because of P. Now, because of P, we will not go into detail about that. That's about purpose, that's about the why. But that still is not the most important thing today to be a successful company, because we'll look at the 3 successful companies who are really good at stating what they do in a tweet in this format X, Y, Z. Let's look at Amazon. Amazon helps customers buying a wide range of products by offering a one-stop web shop with quick delivery. That's what they do. One segment, of course, of their business, I know, but that's what they do. Stated in a tweet. X, Y, Z. Zalando. Zalando helps consumers find and buy fashion they love by offering clothes, shoes, and accessories from more than 1,000 brands online. It's a multi-brand store online from brands that people love. X, Y, Z. Nike. Nike helps athletes perform at their best by offering top-performing apparel and shoes. X, Y, Z. But okay, we were looking for a simple framework to use as a tool to craft our own digital strategy, to craft our own decision-making algorithm. And we were there. A company offers something over a carrier to specific people. It's even easier when you translate that into visual. The simple framework is a visual. It comes with 3 sets. A company offer something to a bunch of people, the demand and technology stack. These are 3 sets, and you can each analyze them individually. But of course, you have to know there are sweet spots, there are intersections. And the first one, what do you have to offer that people actually want? That's strategy. That's defined there. The second intersection is about what you are as an organization and how you deploy technology. Is it as performing as can be? I wonder. That's digital business performance. Of course, there's also business performance which is not digital. That's about how performing are your co-workers working, for instance. Final intersection, UX and service design. It's about the question, how good do you bring a specific technology to your customers? And of course, the intersection of intersections is digital strategy. And we finally have a valid definition, a workable framework, which brings you a lot of tools, which we will detail later. Now, all these elements in each set, technology, demand, offer, are not static. One has to understand that there are forces working on those sets. For instance, when you look at the demand side from your customers, there are people trends, for instance, like the sharing economy. So you have to ask, are my customers of the future using and sharing my products or services, or are they actually owning and buying those products and services? On the other hand, there are also trends that are relevant for the offer set, for your organization. You have to keep an eye on mergers and acquisitions, for instance, in your industry. Technology trends from the final set of technology, and that's the space where lots of things are happening right now. Think about artificial intelligence that are coming quickly now. Now, how do you use that simple framework? Is actually to craft your strategy algorithm. You analyze each set individually. We will go into the tools later. And the intersections are actually your digital strategy, is where the magic is happening. And we like you to realize that yourself. And if you need any help, of course, we can help. What are the tools? Again, we start from the simple framework, your customer, you as a company has something to offer to customers, and that offer is done over a specific carrier. In e-commerce language, you bring fashion or shoes to consumers via the internet. The strategy crafting tools, techniques, and methodologies for the demand set are rather extensive and are the most important one, because you always do something for customers. If you don't have any customers, you don't sell anything, you're not a company. The demand side, let's look at a few, and they are actually spaced out in clusters. So the first cluster is trend watching, and that's separate because these are really specialized people, but you can follow them on the internet. So keep an eye on trends and new things and stuff like that. Qualitative research study is the second cluster, and these are really important ones to find whys and hows of your customers' behavior. It's field studies, interviews, and focus groups. We'll go into detail a bit later over there. And then we have the third cluster with the personas and the customer journeys, for instance, that is about the service design techniques. This design thinking, we draw personas and journeys as deliverables, but only as deliverable to discuss, to progress, to further improve our strategy crafting. We have the, let's say, traditional ways, web analytics, social analytics, and keyword research. That's often done in digital strategy development. But for us, you can use them in a specific way, and we'll detail a case later with how we managed to use keyword research for a go-to-market strategy. On the offer side, you have, of course, again, trend watching, like I said, M&A, business model disruptions, and stuff like that. Business goals, very important one, because business goals are a translation of your vision and strategy. And if you want to track your improvement and how you're realizing your goals, you need to have business goals and KPIs. Also important, product market combinations, very important, resource capability skills check, because it's all about change. And can we still offer what we need to offer to our clients? Do we still have the right resources in place, both people and technology? Of course, lots of things in digital are about automation, so process and workflow analysis is certainly part of the toolbox here. And the more traditional things like SWOT analysis and competition analysis is, of course, also of value. The third set comes with tools like trend watching, again, tech ecosystem mapping, and the creation of a master data plan, which is very important in the data economy we're heading towards. So it's actually a toolbox. You look at it as a toolbox. On the one hand, it's a framework to understand and define digital strategy. On the other hand, it comes with a ton of sets, a ton of tools, which you can use to craft your own digital strategy. Let's have a look at all those tools now and show how we use them in our cases at Indie Group. The things that are in red here will be detailed shorter, so we'll go from trend watching to keyword research and leave the traditional analytical things on the side. Trend watching, when we look at the set of people of your consumer base, the people trend is experience. We're even talking about the experience economy. And without going into detail, it's all about experience, because people are living in the age of anxiety and are escaping reality. That's in fact what's behind it in a sociological way of looking at it. But we have a great example in Belgium. It's called Tomorrowland. And Tomorrowland is like saying the king or queens of experience. And if you want to, you can become the Tomorrowland of your industry. There's a way to that. There is a strategy to realize that. We have documented it in an ebook, by the way, which you can download on our website. Field studies are, of course, very important, and it's all about being curious and using the techniques the professor uses when looking at an ancient Indian tribe. He stays curious because nothing is as he knows. When we do mystery shopping, for instance, it's better to use the techniques from participatory anthropology and field studies because it allows you to stay curious. Otherwise, when I do mystery shopping here for a B2C fashion and shoe retailer, I use those techniques and I notice specific things that otherwise would not have been noticed. And it's important here because these guys will be fighting against Zalando, ASOS, Torfs, and so on. Another example of a field study is here. I'm at the manufacturer of welding tools, which is our client, and he has clients which also produce things. So it's really important to know for that end client that he can order stuff and that he can also see the stock at the manufacturer. But he also has custom products which need to be produced on time and specifically for that customer here in the welding industry. So without that visit, the platform would have been a simple B2B e-commerce platform. Well, now we know for that segment of production clients which use your products to further make another product, you're in a supply chain business and it's really important that the instant flow of information goes almost in real time. And this is possible because you have on the one hand the company, the manufacturer, he bought some new machinery for his production, which is able to send production statuses and errors and delivery date estimations towards, let's say, the client and his B2B webshop experience. So the flow of information was important for that segment. It wouldn't have been there if we did do the field studies. Another example here is I'm looking at the showroom from tiles because we want to build the best webshop for tiles. And a little later I was in, let's say, a production company for a B2B construction wholesaler. And what we learned here is that actually the best thing in marketing automation is the disappearance of a web interface. Because here the purchaser or the production manager won't go towards e-commerce to order another batch of thousands of bricks. No, what they do is communicate instantly, system to system. There is no interface. When this production company realizes, okay, we are a bit short on bricks, he immediately places the order towards the system of the wholesale supplier. That's true marketing automation. And if you want to go into details about marketing automation or something like a case study from here I just talked about, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. It's also fun, the field studies, because here we are making a B2B and B2C web shop for dining supplies. So I have to go dining towards restaurant hotels. So it's nice to take my baby, my wife, and my brother-in-law out for lunch. And I had to say, oh, I'm eating out for work. Who can say that? Another example and another technique is focus group. As focus groups are really a great technique to get towards whys and hows, because you put a bunch of people together and in interaction they provide more insights than on a one-to-one face-to-face interview, let's say. Here, this is a session run at an elderly care center, and it's really an elderly care center to define the elderly care digital platform of the future. We learn a lot of good things from those people. As you see, they are rather young, but they all have parents or grandparents in an elderly care center. What you learned here, for instance, customer experience-wise, is that people want to stay at home as long as possible. So for the elderly care center, it meant, okay, if you want to get into the customer journey earlier, we need to have something with home care. So now they are looking into digital solutions, let's say a care robot branded with their thing. So they are earlier in the customer journey, and in the end they come to reside in the customer care center. Another thing that was remarkable is this are young people. They are often charged with the payments of the staying of their parents and grandparents. And they said, yeah, okay, our telco provider made a space with our invoices and stuff like that, and our history and stuff like that. Maybe we want that too, because sometimes we have to discuss it with our brother and our sister and stuff like that. So without these sessions, there would not have been an invoices space on the website of this elderly care center. You know, it's fun, and you can discuss a lot of things, and we put all those post-its where we want them to be put. We do all those field studies, interviews, and focus groups to create personas and journeys. Personas and customer journeys are actually for us only valid when they are based on research, because otherwise you just can come up with stories like you want. And it's visualized because it's about discussing with your client. The client has been experienced for years in a specific industry, and so we don't claim to know the truth. And I don't want to go into detail about these personas and journeys, because I think a lot of talks will discuss that already here today. I want to show a customer journey meets jobs to be done framework for a brewery. This is the journey of a B2B importer, B2B beer importer, and it goes towards the flow for every step from becoming a customer to being a customer to getting service and loyalty. And at each stage, it documents the most important tasks that needs to be done by the customer. In this manner, the entire platform concept was made rather easily, and the client is actually the driver of the platform, so it will really be used by the clients as well. More traditional approach, keyword research in an atypical with an atypical goal as a go-to-market research tool. We have a client. Actually, we have a client. It is a joint venture of two individual organizations to gather their products and to gather their products, but bring that towards a new market. And they have 20,000 products together, and they don't know the new market. What will we bring towards them? One of the interesting things we did there is that we used keyword research to define the go-to-market. These are your focus products from the beginning. A little bit more about this. We already defined personas and journeys, so we could say this is relevant traffic, and it's more important than lots of traffic, because relevant traffic is traffic that is ready to buy. So we made a trade-off, relevant volume and low competition, to define the go-to-market strategy of this consumer-based spin-off of two B2B layers. More to come on this. Looking at the tools from the different set, the offer set, your organizational set, there are lots of things to do, and we want to dig deeper into both trend watching part and the business goals part, and the things that are in red. Trend watching is actually really important. A lot of people forget to look at business model innovations. Okay, they are often driven by technology, but in essence, it's the business model that changes. You know, what happens when nobody looks at AIM, VT4, Canvas, VTM and stuff like that? Because everybody is watching Netflix series and movies. That's because Netflix took the approach, took the opportunity brought by streaming technology. But keep in mind, Netflix is a monopoly for the moment. You know what happens. There is the launch of Disney Plus soon, with a lot of incredible content video brands behind it, and there's also Apple Plus TV, which is has a very aggressive go-to-market strategy within it. You get it for free or something with your new iPhone and stuff like that. Business model innovation beyond technical and product innovation is really important to keep an eye on from the business side. Business goals. Really important to define your goals, and what I want to stress here is that the goals are actually a number that is a result of your vision and strategy. You see it here again. We use balanced scorecard as a goal set in a lot of our projects, and vision and strategy is at the core, because all the numbers, KPIs and targets and measures you see in the balanced scorecard are a result, a translation of that vision and strategy. If you want to know more about KPIs, OKRs, numbers, goal setting and stuff like that, I really advise you to talk to my colleague Robert. He kicks ass in those domains. If you want to see a mustache curl, please scream KPIs. And I think we have a Salvador Dali in the room. He's here today, so catch him if you can. It's all for free today. Leaves us only to the latest set, being the technology set. And I want to take you through some technology trends which we are seeing for a couple of years now, and try to create a different perspective within your thinking about that. AR and VR as a technology trend, we are hearing this for about 10 plus years now, and we see big players like IKEA develop AR applications like this one. You can see where how your sofa will look in your own room. But the question is this the true value and use of the AR technology here? I don't know, but IKEA is well known. IKEA has lots of furnitures, and people, I believe, tend to understand before they buy some specific furniture whether it fits their room or not. The question is, would you rather have before the purchase some spielerij like this? You can see how it looks, okay? Or would it even be better that once you have bought at IKEA and are there with your chair or table, that the manual, which is rather difficult if you look at the internet, that the manual would have been in AR, for instance, showing you, hey, you need now this piece with this type of tool, and you need to put this, and you need to put it here. Marketing versus service. How are you going to use? What is the value of technology? An important question to ask before jumping on the next new shiny thing. The next new shiny thing might be voice assistant as the trend. I'm sure it will be big. I don't know when. It's already big in the US. And if you want to jump on the voice wagon, be ready for it. There's only one thing you need to do now. That's one, Google schema speakable. There are speakable schemas which make your content on your website, your data on your website, recognizable for semantic web technologies. You need to mark it up with semantic web. But an important strategic question is, for your product and services, are people going to use it on the go through voice or in-house? It's a big difference, because when you look at, for instance, in trains, there are already posters about please make your telephones quiet and stuff like that. So if you look at how annoyed people are by others who are calling, I don't believe we will all start talking to our phones now towards the voice assistant. Now, in-house, it's a different situation, because we're all at ease at home. We all know each other, so we're not annoyed like the example from the train. But think about it like this way. A last one, of course, is self-driving car, robotics, AI. It all comes together in the first prototype being a self-driving car. And that's the striking thing. Why do they still look like cars? Because, of course, it changed automotive. Of course, it changes oil. But it will change a lot more. What happens if the self-driving car is decorated? The interior is like a restaurant. You can take a hamburger, you can eat fries. What if a self-driving car comes with beds? Maybe you have self-driving hotels. What if it's equipped with office materials? What if you have a desk, for instance? What if it plays movies? What if it is a brothel? And I think when you look at it like that way, self-driving cars, a self-driving brothel will be actually one of the killer apps. That's one thing that will drive adoption mainstream. So I said a lot. I think I need to close down. My time is up, and I want you to remember a few things. Digital is a strategy, is a connected logic. It's an algorithm for making decisions. So it's the end of paralysis, and it's the end of the slagginess. It gives you speed. It gives you speed, as I said. And the good news is, if you understand one simple framework of 3 sets that come with a DIY toolkit based on the framework, you can craft it yourself. I'm talking about this framework, demand, offer, technology set. So the logic is, a company always has something to offer to some people over a channel, over a carrier. But do know that all these sets are not static. There are trends like sharing, experience, business model innovations, artificial intelligence. There are actually forces on those sets. So it will change the elements of those sets. And if you want to study the elements of those sets, this is your toolbox. I won't go into detail here, but based on each different set within the simple framework, you have your toolbox from trend watching to keyword research to master data plan and even business goal setting. It's a lot to do. If you have to do one thing after you leave this room or tomorrow, I would say talk to your customers and talk with your customers. And that's actually the most important point I want to do. It's about people, even in digital strategy, even in digital transformation. And it's about customers. Put those people and those customers at the center, and you will craft a great digital strategy. And I thank you for having me. You can reach out to me via Twitter at vermeire.com, or even email me, or look at the website, or talk to one of my colleagues who is here at the venue today as well. Thank you.